Alrighty boom, ladies and gentlemen, welcome your faces back to another little video. Another little capsule review on this time, an interesting movie, I would say. This one right here, boom. Boom. The Northman. Now, a lot of people have been waiting for me to watch this one, as I am, of course, some may already know, a Viking at heart. Body, mind, and spirit. It's taken me a while to watch this one. It's been on my list for a long time. I just never watched it when it came out. It came out when, you know, a lot of stuff was happening for me and my family during the move and everything. So, never got to watch it. And I've been looking forward to it since day one. And it then just kind of poofed out of existence for me. Now I finally watched it. And it was pretty cool. I won't lie. It was very, very cool. I didn't do my research for this video. This is like a little impromptu video, so I don't know who the director is. I don't know the name of the main actor. I've forgotten his name. But it's somebody recognizable. The Northman was a cool film. Story-wise, it was a bit very stereotypical kind of film. Very stereotypical kind of like medieval, almost kind of hero epic, right? Follows a disgraced son, like, you know, this prince whose uncle killed his father, and you know, he fled. They thought he was dead. He vowed revenge, came back as an adult, tried to kill his uncle, you know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, nothing too crazy there. You know, the film wasn't insane or anything, but I tell you what was insane. The cinematography was absolutely wild, which definitely carried this film for me personally. There is another reason it was I enjoyed it, which I'll get into in a minute. But I mean, the story seemed very basic, predictable, right? The acting was fine. The acting was a bit mixed. I'm going to get into that in a minute. The acting was fine around the board. You know, this film was nothing too crazy, nothing too special. But the cinematography was out of this world special. I actually don't think or at least I haven't seen a movie like that in a really long time. Very guerrilla style. They use the environment perfectly to contrast the moment. There are these times where, you know, there's snow beating down on the actors' faces, getting caught in their beards and their mouths, and you know, in their hair, and it's just all just as it's happening. I'm not going to say too much about what's going on, because I think people should watch this film for sure. It's nothing life-changing, but like, if you can appreciate cinema, you're going to love this film. There's time where like ash is falling down, you know, the various different seasons, colors, landscapes, beautiful. You know, the thing about the cinematography in this film that was crazy though. Lot of long drawn out scenes, lots of one-ers. I'm a big fan of one-ers. But like, it's the sheer the tackling of this movie it was tackled so well. There's these long kind of panning scenes that just seem epic, and there's a lot of moving parts that just, like, from a director's standpoint, props to the director. Like, oh my god, managing and moving that would be wild. There's this one fight scene right at the start of the film where we first see our hero as an adult, where he kind of flees. It's called the Northman, obviously, so Vikings. Where he kind of like, as he flees his homeland as a boy, where he makes these promises away from Iceland, he ends up in Rus and becomes basically like a berserker. The film is very, very primal, which I really liked. It's very raw and primal. And there's a lot of comparisons between like man and animal, especially with the main character, which I really loved. It was very mystical, very raw, very, very primal, spiritual, lighting was beautiful throughout the whole piece. Coming on to the acting, the actors were fine. I mean, I don't think the actors really did anything special, nothing to note. Facially, even the lead, kind of emotionless, but that's also kind of the point. Like, it worked and it wasn't enough at the same time for me. But what was really good to see was his body language. I'll find whoever he was. I don't remember his name. He's right here. Wow. Especially for like movie acting. Movie actors act from here up. Film actors really struggle with the body. And I feel like this was almost flipped for him. Like I said, he was it's a bit more of a quiet role. Apart from like leading to the end where he gains a bit more confidence, I suppose, in his situation. He didn't really do anything with that silence. But when it came to his behavior and his body language, it was superb. I mean, going back to that animalistic, that primal kind of theme, those undertones that's happening in this film, he nailed it. Very transformative. In his body, like the way that he carried himself and the way that he walked, the way that he approached different situations was very animalistic. Like, it was a very, like they call him like the bear and everything. Like, he doesn't look like a man. Like, the way that he carries himself, he just, and there's all of these, a lot of silhouettes, a lot of shadows and silhouettes, going back into that lighting, which was just beautiful, great cinematography there as well, from, the camera and the director's standpoint. It was a very transformative role. And as a berserker where, these were people who physically channeled the spirits of animals to fight, where he was part of this wolf clan where they wore pelts of wolves, physically, manifested the spirits of wolves into their bodies and fought as animals, where they promised to not become humans once again until after the following day and everything, and then leading out of his time as the berserkers, like I said, just as he carried himself very hunched, broad, wide, his arms stiff and like to the side. It was a very cool thing. It was actually a really cool choice. I wonder if that was his choice or the director's choice. I don't know whose choice it was, but as far as I was concerned with him and his body language, I thought that was a very, very cool. Very cool. The other thing that I really liked about it is this was, no Viking piece is truly historically accurate to what the pagans were, what the Northmen were. We only know so much about them, but what we do know is uncomparable to the perception that we have of Vikings. So that's why, like, in Hollywood, Hollywood Vikings is the pelts and the leather armor and, think Vikings, the show. Last Kingdom's a little bit better, still very Hollywood, right? There's a Hollywood perception of Vikings, and then there's, like, who the Vikings actually were. This film got who they actually were much better than I've ever seen before on a show or a movie. Still wasn't 100%, like, as a history buff, I do like to look for that historical accuracy. Definitely as a pagan myself as well, like, I connect with, Norse paganism and everything, so I want to see that a little bit more than most. But this one was much better. I mean, they had, accurate armor, helmets, the rich wore light chainmail, but the rest of them don't. Most, the clothes that they wear, the tunics, the sayaxes they carry on their fronts, the weapons that they used. When they did fight, a lot of them were naked, or close to being naked. Very, very cool, which brings me on to, like, the final fight at the end. I won't talk about that, but beautifully done. It's done on top of a volcano, this huge epic thing. Very, very cool, which also I didn't like, but I'm going to get back into that for my last point. Just huge use of the silhouettes and the music, the music mixed with the cinematography, the landscapes, the lighting, all of it, this animalistic, this primal theme that is just carried and reminded to you throughout, like the way, like he physically growls at people and screams, and he even does it at a dog at one point. A dog starts barking at him, and he's like, ah, and like the dog backs out. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Like all of that intertwined with everything, like this is an epic, you know, throughout. This is an epic hero story, you know what I mean? Like picture reading Beowulf, and then you see this, like you know, it's an epic, and they definitely achieved with that. And I think it's probably the best epic I've seen in that regard. Like I said, story very, very basic, unentertaining. Well, it's entertaining, but you know what I mean. Just uninspired, I suppose. Nothing fresh going on there. Acting so, like, it's fine. You know, there are a couple of twists there at the end, which doesn't go his way. Very cool. But yeah, the last point, the other thing that I really, really liked, that was very naturalistic and stylized in a way. Especially when it came to like the fight scenes and the fighting, you know, like I said, going back to like Hollywood, like the Hollywood Tale of Vikings, or really any kind of medieval combat show, movie, what have you. You know, there's these huge epic fight scenes with these long drawn out engagements in like hand-to-hand combat, but that's not what battling was. You know, like maybe if you came across, you know, a worthy opponent, that engagement would go on longer than, you know, against other foot soldiers, you know, but this film did that very well. I think the fight scenes were very slow and stylized and realistic, to the point where, you know, here's this amazing warrior with all this experience, this berserker, who is taking advantage of other people's weaknesses in their combat skills, right? So, I mean, as he's going through these fights, tackling different opponents, you know, each fight is no more than a couple of movements, right? Where they engage, he finds a flaw in their stance, uses that, puts them on the ground and kills them. You know, like it's very stylized, it's very naturalistic, very purposeful, and it's slow. I feel like the movie was slow but methodical and well-paced at the same time. I never felt kind of bored or slow. Helga's barking now. Which is why I also didn't like that final fight scene, because when he eventually did come against the worthy opponent with his uncle, you know, that kind of countered, I suppose, the work that they did throughout, if that made sense. Which I understand why, and that whole scene was epic. It was amazing. The silhouettes, the volcanic ash, the red, the lava. It was very, very cool. Very, very cool. But, you know, that was one of those Hollywood long drawn out fights. It wasn't too long. I feel like it was a good timing behind it, but it kind of undermined the work, the stylization that they put into the fights previously, which I loved. It was really refreshing to see. So from a cinematic standpoint, amazing movie, great movie. From those other things I said, possible, you know, like it was good, but overall, as a enjoyer of cinema, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I would go give it a go.
Tasty.